Hey guys, this is Uruk with an audio commentary. Please get this game paused at the 15-second mark. Today we have a game for you from Acon 5. This is the qualifier in Dallas. It's between Mouse Saboshi versus PG Boo. We'll be watching from Mouse Saboshi's point of view. Fog of War off. Now, I believe this is the last game in the series, best out of 3, and it was quite a good one. So let's get this thing unpaused in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, unpause. In this game, I will be showing you how to use Orc's advantage, and that is putting up an expansion at the right time when you have the advantage. And I'll also show you some few tips versus Undead, as it'll kind of hint as to what they're getting. For example, when they're scouting, if they scout with a ghoul, they are most likely to be going with ghouls and harassing with their DK and creeping with their ghouls while he's harassing with his DK. If they don't scout it, or if they scout with a skeleton warrior, they are probably going to be going fiends. Now that skeleton warrior will probably be coming a bit later than usual. And if they scout with acolyte, it's usually fiends, but it could be either way. Now Saboshi takes his peasant here, and he's going to scout. A lot of players tend to creep the Gnoll Brute and the Gnoll with their Farseer and let one wolf that is weakened scout that place. But what this allows Saboshi is, it allows him to creep this Gnoll Brute and Gnoll, and using those wolves, it will allow him to creep the Gnoll Warden quicker and more effectively, and his Farseer and Grunt will take a lot less damage because they have those extra wolves that will be tanking for him. So that's one thing you might want to consider. Now, if you look at Boo's base, he's going to be going with Crypt Lord and Fiends. Good choice versus Orc. But if you usually see a Crypt Lord, you can assume that they're going to go Fiends. You don't see very much ghouls and Crypt Lord. Anyways, Saboshi chose a earlier barracks rather than tech and then barracks. I find that it's a lot, gives you a lot more options. You can harass, you can creep, and it's also a lot less dangerous, as it leaves, when you tech, it leaves you a lot more open and susceptible to the undead expanding or them rushing. Now, when you're creeping the Gnoll Warden and Gnoll Overseer camp, when one of your units gets purged, say a Grunt, you want to move that unit back immediately, as the whole creep camp will be focusing on that unit. And also make sure that your wolves are tanking here. That Gnoll Overseer sure as hell hurts a lot, so you want to make sure your grunts don't get damaged by that. So, like I was saying earlier, Saboshi hasn't seen any ghoul scout, so he's assuming that Boo is going to be going with spiders. He gets level 2. This would be a great level to harass an undead with ghouls, as Chain Lightning is very effective. But spiders is a totally different story, as those wolves are almost free experience for the spiders with no micro, so you gotta be careful. Now, Saboshi just checked that camp there, the Gnoll Warden and Gnoll Overseer. That was to check for a creepjack. He didn't see Boo there, so he went and crept the other camp. He's trying to get level 3, I assume, for the better wolves, which will help him harass these spiders a lot better. He also sees a Crypt Beetle here, so he knows his opponent has the Crypt Lord. And he also scouted his opponent's base with the peasant, or peon, so he knows he's going spiders. Now they're going to have a small skirmish here in the middle. Saboshi notices the 18 hit point beetle, and he's going to kill that for some nice experience. Whenever you see something that low on HP, even if it's a summon, kill it. It's worth the experience. Now, he also puts up a voodoo lounge in his base. This is an opportune time, as he's had a building for quite some time, but right now you're going to be in battle. So after this battle, he wants to be able to heal his grunts. So you want to make sure you have your voodoo lounge up by this time. That's one of the things that Saboshi's very good at, is while he's in battle is macro, and he can build stuff while he's fighting. Now, if your cooldown is gone on your wolves, and one of your wolves is about to die, you can resummon and deny the opponent experience. Now, Boo just used an impale there. Some people might think, why did he use an impale? His spider was about to get surrounded, and the mana that he used for the impale is definitely worth saving the unit. Even if it didn't save the unit, the chance of him losing that unit is worth the mana. So if you can chain lightning something and it'll kill it, use the chain lightning. It's definitely worth the mana. Now, Saboshi notes here that he's very close to level 3 and that this camp will do it for him, so he's going to creep this camp, and then he's going to, with his level 3 Farseer, harass while he creeps with his grunts. That's what you want to do with your level 3 Farseer while you're creeping your Tauren Chieftain, because you want him to level, and the Farseer is great for harassing the undead, as you will see shortly. Now, Saboshi's been keeping track of Boo's creep pattern, something you want to do as Orc with your wolves. He sees him creeping up here, so he's going to take use this as a creep jack. And also with his Tauren Chieftain, he's going down to creep his expansion. You want to creep your expansion at this point in the game, as this is when Orc has an advantage. Once Orc has the advantage, such as now, especially with him causing massive damage to the spiders, you want to throw down that expansion. That's why this matchup is so unfair, is because as Orc you are able to expand, and it's very hard for the undead to stop it. So always put up an expansion at tier 2. That's one of the main reasons why Orc is so good in this matchup, is because they can. Many people have problems with this matchup as Orc, and that's probably because they don't put down an expansion at tier 2, or they don't realize that their opponent is going to go destroyers. So this is going to be 3 spiders now that Saboshi kills with his Farseer. That's amazingly good, and that's what you want to try to do while creeping with your Tauren Chieftain. As you can see, he's already crept out that bottom expansion there. Now, versus spiders, you want to be going with grunts and raiders, and make sure you have ensnare. The spider you ensnare, try to kill it with your grunts. If you look back down at the expansion, the bottom right expansion, Saboshi is expanding, so this is exactly when you want to expand. And that expansion, like I said earlier, is very important. Now, Saboshi's just going to run away with his Farseer and try to creep jack him again here. I don't know why Boo's going to creep this thing out when it's already half crept out, and he's got the Farseer behind him. Now, Boo picks an interesting second hero, the Tinker. Things to do to counter the Tinker. Whenever he drops down that pocket factory, you want to kill it as quickly as possible. It's only 300 hit points, and that's a lot of mana he wastes. It's like 125 or 130 mana, I'm not sure. But it's a lot, and those clockwork goblins sure do a hell of a lot of damage. So try to kill that pocket factory as quickly as possible. Also, if you're in the middle of nowhere and he drops down a pocket factory, just run away from where he dropped it from, because he just wasted all that mana, and that pocket factory is going to be useless in the middle of nowhere. So you want to be creeping like this, harassing with your Farseer and creeping with your TC till he's a level around 3 or 4. Saboshi decides to go to level 4. Now, if you look at Boo's base, Saboshi is going to scout right now. Once you see that they have 2 slaughterhouses up and they're at the tier 3, you know that they are going to probably try and mass destroyers. So when Saboshi sees that, he knows he's going destroyers. Also, if they start getting armor upgrades for their spiders, they are going to go with destroyers, because there's no use in getting armor upgrades for your fiends. Well, usually they're going to destroyers, so those are two things to note to tell if they're going destroyers. And Saboshi also built a second bestiary and a burrow by his expansion. Why does he build a burrow there? Well, simple. That Crypt Lord often sends the beetles to harass at the expansion, and without the burrow there, he leaves his peasants. Why do I keep on saying peasants when he's not even human? He leaves his peons vulnerable to the beetles. So if you build a burrow, that's a simple counter to the beetles harassing your peons. So now that he saw the two slaughterhouses, and he starts building bats with his bestiary. You want to have a mixture of bats and wervens versus destroyers. I'd start out with bats this late in the game, so that's exactly what Saboshi's doing. Now Saboshi's TC is already level 4, and his Farseer's level 3, compared to Boo's level 3 Crypt Lord and level 1 Tinker. That's a very good advantage he has. He also has a expansion going up is up already, so he definitely has the advantage here. Undead heroes, you want to deny them as much experience as possible, as you saw with as Saboshi was doing with his Farseer harassment. The higher the undead heroes are compared to your heroes, it's going to be a lot harder to win. Now Saboshi, like I said earlier, he was keeping track of Boo's creep pattern.